going.
And on your level 80 side, how does it feel to share the stage with Ozzy Osbourne?
That is really crazy. I couldn't be happier about it. You know, Black Sabbath, Ozzy, he's a legend, really. We saw them rehearsing last night, and it was just insane. They're just so pro, and it's just very different. The last couple years, you know, we've performed before VGL, which is an orchestra, basically, and very different than going up in front of a rock legend, really. So they'll certainly put us in our place, that's for sure.
And you guys missed that Ozzy was here yesterday, and he was great. It's going to be an awesome show, so you guys need to stick around and check that out. But we need to get back to the guys on stage.
Okay.
Excellent article. Thanks,
Joe. And for all of those who are following the top 10 Blizzard games on IGN.com, number 9 actually surprised me. It is Wrath of the Lich King. Number 9. I really expected that to place higher.
I bet you World of Warcraft is much higher, though. You see, it's when it's an expansion pack, it's
exactly.
What's the difference? So, well, speaking of Warcraft, we have a special guest with us now, right?
Yes, we do. Corey Stockton, welcome to the stage.
How are you guys?
We're good.
We're great, Corey. So you just came off the World of Warcraft panel. Obviously, huge announcement here about Cataclysm. How has the fan reaction been when people come up and talk to you?
I think it was great. I mean, sometimes we can't hear ourselves up there because they're cheering for different things.
Right.
So I think the reaction was awesome. I think they liked the video up front when Chris Metzen was out. You know, I think that's the way we really gauge the reaction from the fans is,
right.
You know, are they reacting to the things that we're working on back at work? And I think that's what really gets us hyped up to do this stuff.
What, in your opinion, listening to the crowd, did they get the most excited about, do you think?
I think the Goblin and the Worgen races,
yes.
Just in general. You know, I think just knowing that they're going to have a new race to play, they get classes with it, whole new storyline. I just really feel like that appeals to people that want to start. You know, they might not have played the game, but that race might appeal to them.
Right.
You know, and even people that have been playing the game, I think they just want new stuff to do.
Now, let me ask you about Cataclysm as an expansion pack. You did Wrath of the Lich King, which came out last fall. So when did you start development on Cataclysm? I mean, what is the process of coming up with a new
We started
pack?
before Lich King even finished.
Wow.
You know, we usually get in the mindset of what are we going to do next? You know, what's the plan? And we went through a few different ideas before we actually settled on
What were the
Cataclysm.
rejected ideas? Can you tell us?
Oh, there are a few. You might see them later. They're not necessarily going anywhere. We just thought that storyline-wise, we really wanted to go back to Azeroth and bring the players back to the original zones that they played, they've leveled up in, but give them something a little bit new, like a new experience, but at the same time, progress the story forward. And I think Deathwing, using him as our main, you know, our main boss of the whole expansion, I think really fits that, because the way we use the Lich King in the past expansion really appealed to people. We really had that bad guy. Everyone wanted to get to him, take him out, and we really knew we wanted to continue that in the next one. Give them a really good bad guy that they can not like.
We had a lot of questions on the forums. People were wondering, you know, we announced that Azeroth is completely going to change, but is it going to change for everyone, even if you don't have the expansion?
Yes.
Okay.
It's going to affect everyone. Purchasing the expansion will get you certain things, like being able to level to 85, being able to roll the new race class combinations, but definitely anyone that has the game now will definitely be able to play in the new zones. The sundering that happens across the world just affects everyone.
Okay.
Wow, so there's a question on Twitter, if once the expansion is out, is it true that no one will be able to go back to old content and quests? Is that true?
Oh, completely true. And in fact, they're not even going to go back to old content. Like, we would be calling it new content.
Right.
The quest guys on the team and the guys that work on all those zones, we're rebuilding those zones from the ground up. And it's a different scale of change. Some zones are getting a lot. They're completely different. Like, people saw the Barrens today. But then some zones are getting a little less. Like Elwyn Forest, we were really happy with it. So we probably won't change too much. But in a lot of cases, it's going to feel like a completely different level up experience.
If you're going to be able to fly all over Azeroth, are you going to create like ascended worlds like you did in Northrend, to where you'll be able to fly up to new areas that weren't on the ground?
For sure.
Okay.
And we definitely want to do that. And probably the way we'll do that, we'll do level 85 type stuff. So things that when you hit max level and you've got flying, then you'll be able to fly up there and do daily quests. Things we did that in Outland pretty successfully, where we had areas you couldn't get to until you were max level. We'll probably follow that same line here.
Okay.
We got a lot of great questions coming into my Twitter at Jeff Keighley. You can also get Kat at Cat Hunter. First question comes from Wow FTW. He says, when are we going to see another hero class?
Hero classes are something that are really, really special. In general, it definitely came up, the concept of doing a hero class for Cataclysm. But for us, we really wanted to get to the races this time. And I think a hero class changes the whole game entirely, because not only with the race, you're using existing classes, a hero class affects raiding, dungeons, everything all together. And that's something that we definitely want to do. We want to continue the idea of doing new hero classes, but we just thought going back to the classic world, we really needed new races to support that and give you a reason to get back and start in the original world and kick it off with a new worgen or a new goblin.
Now, one thing that you've announced very recently is that you're going to be able to move from Horde to Alliance. How hard was it for you guys? I'm sorry, not Horde to, yeah, it's Horde to Alliance on the same, you know, to be able to do that. So how hard was it for you to actually make that decision? And when are we going to start hearing more details about
the faction transfer?
The faction transfers.
That's something that's definitely been in the works for a while. It requires a huge amount of back-end work on our side from the technical standpoint. And once that was completed, you're right, it kind of came down to, is it something we want to let players do?
Right.
But I think it really is, because when you look at the game, there's kind of two sides to the game. There's the Alliance and the Horde.
Yeah.
And you might not necessarily feel like it's a little daunting to start over, but maybe you've been playing Alliance for 4 years and you're ready to try something else. Or maybe one of your new friends rolled a new character and they're Horde, so what are you going to do? So really, we feel like it's a way to let people maybe try another side of the game that they haven't done before. And it also might be a way to let you play with friends that might have always been on the other faction side, and now you get a chance to play with them.
Have you announced if you're going to be able to choose what race you join, or is that going to be something that you determine?
You can choose any race that can play your currently existing class.
Okay.
So any race that can play that class, you can choose when you go to the other side.
Do you ever plan on allowing people to change races within the same faction, or is it only within the faction changes?
No, I think that's a feature we would like to do. I think it just depends where it fits in the line.
Okay.
Because when you can change faction, you're definitely changing your race along the way. But doing it on a single faction, like within the Alliance, is something we'd want to do, but we wanted to get the faction change out first.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, more Twitter questions. There are a lot coming in. First one comes from Take What. And Take What says, please tell them they are morons if they prevent us from flying until level 85. We'll be so annoying. What do you have to say about that?
Well, flying is something we want to feel like a reward.
Right.
We need something for you to level up for, right? You know, there's got to be something for you to do at 85 other than just raiding.
Yeah.
So I think the way we look at this stuff is we like to kind of make sure there's those carrots for you every couple levels. We really want you to get something, right? But we also don't want you to just get flying right away and see the whole world, you know, and be able to go to places we might necessarily want you to go. So we just use it as a gameplay tool. Yeah, generally that's the reason why we do those kinds of things.
There are only 5 levels in this expansion, which is something you know, new, not doing 10 levels. So how are you going to differentiate the you know, the leveling up in this game compared to something like Lich King, where there were 10 levels?
I think the leveling up is definitely going to feel similar as far as the scale. Obviously, we're going to be covering a smaller number of levels, but we still got 5 zones. Lich King had 9 zones originally. One of those was a PvP zone, so we didn't necessarily count it. But here, the zones are going to be a little bit larger than the zones you saw in Lich King, so there will definitely be more content within each zone. And as far as the amount of abilities we're going to give you, we're still planning on giving you 3 abilities between 80 and 85, and that's the same number that you got between 70 and 80 when you went to Northrend. So we really feel like there's some similar qualities there. I just think it's important for players to know that just because the level number isn't going up by 10, that to not think they're going to get less content, because our plan is actually to give you more content overall. But going back to the old world and redoing 1 to 60 in the classic zones really meant that if we were going to do all that content, you know, we had to do it on both sides of the stick. You know, we've got to make sure the new players have new stuff to do, and even people that want to re-roll. You know, I think that's a really important part of the game.
Can you tell us anything about the new profession?
Oh, archaeology?
Yeah, tell me.
Archaeology is a secondary profession, which means that everyone's going to be able to get it. It'll be similar to cooking, first aid, things like that that everyone has. And archaeology is going to tie in really closely with Path of the Titans. And Path of the Titans is our new kind of level 85 advancement that you can do once you hit max
character
level.
Customization feature.
And so archaeology, the concept there is you're actually traveling all over Azeroth and you're finding ancient artifacts. And part of the gameplay of what you do is once you find the artifact, there's kind of like a little bit of a mini game that allows you to decipher what that artifact is. And once you do that, you can get rewards for it. And there's going to be a wide variety of rewards. Things like different profession plans. We're going to do general items. There's going to be money. But the greatest reward ever will be to unlock those new glyph slots that'll allow you to work your way through the new Path of the Titans stuff.
Absolutely.
So I think tying archaeology into the new Path of the Titans stuff really gives like a cool connection between having a new secondary skill in the game.
Okay.
Now, Corey, I got to tell you, people are on fire for you on Twitter.
They love you.
My Twitter's going crazy with Corey questions. Let's get to another one here. This comes from Too Much Aggro. He says, what do you think Cataclysm will do to our faction cities? Will sections be destroyed so we can't get to them?
There's definitely going to be changes to all of the major cities in the game. In the panel today, we showed Undercity and a little bit about the new way it's going to be flyable at the top. For example, we could look at Orgrimmar. Orgrimmar is actually going to be completely changed because Garrosh has come in and basically kind of changing things up a little bit there. And the way that he runs the city is very different than the way Thrall did. So, for example, you're going to see a different layout. All of Orgrimmar will feel completely different. Stormwind, the Worgen are going to have their own district in Stormwind, so they'll have a place to be as well. Darnassus is going to be changed. All of the cities, even Thunderbluff, has changes to it. So you're going to see it all the way across the board. I think the big thing is, like, when we're doing something like this and we're changing the whole old world, it's almost impossible to kind of halfway do it, right? We kind of have to make sure not only the zones and the quests, but every area really feels like it supports the new fiction that's happening with the story.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming by.
Oh, no problem.
We understand you're a
it.
very busy man these days.
Yeah, they keep me pretty busy over at Blizzard.
Okay, do you have a lot of panels tomorrow?
I have actually 4 panels tomorrow. The Dungeons and Raid panel, Systems panel, WoW Q&A. It's just, there's a lot.
You're an important man. All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, Corey. Appreciate it.
Problem.
Now we're going to head behind the scenes with Blizzard to learn more about how they make a game. Let's check it out.
Hey, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the StarCraft 2 development area. My name's Dustin Browder. I'm the lead game designer.
And hey, I'm Chris Siggety. I'm lead producer on StarCraft 2. We're going to take you on a behind-the-scenes tour of our area. Behind me here, you can see some of the art we spread around the area. This is the Reaper, a new unit in StarCraft 2.
And behind me here, I've got Kerrigan, the Queen of Blades. She's an inspiration, of course, for a whole race of creatures in StarCraft. We got a lot of this kind of stuff all around the office. Let's go take a look. All right, so this is an area that we have a lot of art behind it. We usually have these screens that we use to block it off when people come through. We don't want them to see any of the stuff we're working on. But for you guys, we're going to show you what we got going on here. We've got a lot of portraits from the game all over this wall.
Yeah, these are our 3D portraits. We're doing all 3D real-time portraits in the game. It allows us to do real-time effects, lip syncing on characters that have mouths. Our Protoss, we don't have to worry about it on. Right. Good stuff. But one of the advantages of having these new billboard areas that we put up when we moved into this new building is that we're able to put up this art and let people see as we progress through the game, you know, what sorts of progress we're making, but also the inspiration that will continue to push through the entire development of the project.
All right, let's go in here and take a look at what Samwise is working on. Hey, Sammy.
What up, Dustin?
This is Sammy. He's the art director for StarCraft 2. He handles all of the look and feel for the game. And what are you working on right now, Sam?
Right now, I am working on a picture of the Zerg Queen. She's very pretty, very sexy, and very Zergy.
So as the creative visionary for the game, Sammy, why don't you tell us like the kinds of stuff you do and sort of what your day is like and the kind of work that you do?
Well, just to break it down, if you guys like the way the game looks, it's because me and the art team have been pouring our soul into it. And if you don't like it, it's because these two guys are stifling our creativity.
But you're not going to leave that in, are you?
It's true.
Get to it straight.
Can't hide the truth.
Well, let's talk about something more important, the essence behind Blizzard Entertainment, the KISS lunchbox. Very important. And actually, let's switch over here to the box of fallen toys and the wall of the dead. These are different units and pieces of art that were once in the game and have since been cut. And actually, we probably shouldn't be showing that right now.
Good job, Siggety.
We'll cut that in post, right? That's going to be out. That won't be in?
Now we're in the Team 1 design area. This is the designer bullpen where all of the missions for the game is made. This is Richard Koo. He's working on a mission right now. What are you working on, Rich?
Hi, I'm working on Hanson 1, the Exodus. The Zerg have invaded, and it's up to the player to defend them as they evacuate from their town and get to the starport at the top of this mission here.
And over here we have Adam Hayes working on another mission. What are you working on, Adam?
This is Tychus 3. It's another Zerg invasion of an opulent city where you're basically, again, covering the retreat of an important scientist.
So you can see here, Adam's got the tool open. This is what our editor looks like. You can see all of the area triggers and waypoints he's got in position. This is where it really all comes together, where all the artists have made all of that art out there, and then all of the engineers have created all these units for us. It's the designers who sort of put it all together and put it into a level for the player to play.
All right, well, thanks so much for joining us on this behind-the-scenes look at the StarCraft 2 development team.